for France, I think it's a case of, as you say, Matt, they get the first 2 games away from home. They'll go to Rome, and with respect to Italy, I think none of us would predict Italy turning France over there. So, and then they come to Dublin next week. They were here 2 years ago, and they muscled another result against Ireland when, I think if you remember, James Lowe's tackle into the corner. We think it's a try. They go up the field and they score 2 quick tries, and they do enough to, frustrate Ireland, and their power is pretty telling. The big improvement with me with France is their defence and their work rate. I think they're a hard team now to break down. No matter what players you had in the French team before, kind of the last 2 seasons, if you were patient, if you built enough of phases, they get a little bit lazy. They switch off a little bit. I think Sean Edwards has done a remarkable job in getting them believing that this is what you have to do to win big games, and if we want to be the best in the world. And they have an incredible setup, don't they? Players to pick from. You live over there, Matt. If you were a French coach, the amount of players that you can choose from with all the top teams, even in the lower divisions, there's quality players. So depth is not an issue. It's all about psychology, getting them fit, and getting a good blend. And I think Fabien Galtier and Ibanez, but those 3 have done a brilliant job, because they've sat down and they've said, well, we should be a lot better. They hadn't won a championship since 2010 before last year. And they're, they have a brilliant squad. Cameron Walkie is going to be a loss to him, but Tau Fefanu will probably play in the second row with Paul Willems. So
not bad, is it?
Not a bad replacement. And they probably have some more. Flamont is another one that could go into the second row probably. Yeah. So a lot of good, excellent players. Their 2 hookers are world class.
Yeah.
So it's power, pace, strength everywhere. And of course, Dupont is the best rugby player in the world, I think, and he has shown that. Just defensively, he's so good. He stops the opposition. He just harasses the opposition halfbacks. He's kick chase, and then his ability to kick left and right. He's just such a brilliant weapon for them. But Ireland will still fancy. That's next week's pod, really. But I think in an overall picture, I think you're probably looking at France, England, Ireland to challenge for the championship. But Matt has said it here, and we may get a few sneaky Welsh viewers on the pod here. We're under no circumstances thinking we're going to Cardiff on Saturday, that it's going to be easy. It's not. It's no way it's not. And in round 4, no matter what way Ireland are, going to Murrayfield again, Ireland are a big scalp. Gregor Townsend will really fancy Ireland. So, and of course, Italy, what they did in November. They beat Australia in November and Wales. So it should be a great championship, but sometimes it's in third gear at round 1. So hopefully we see some great rugby at the weekend and some great matches.
Yeah, Matt, last one on Italy, France. Do you still think the Grand Slam champions coming into it are yet to peak? And where do you see Italy? Is there any chance they could get 2 wins in this championship?
Well, I think we've got to give the Italians credit where credit's due, Stewie. They've beaten Wales, they've beaten Australia, then they drop, horrifically to Georgia. But we've got to give Georgia credit too. They also beat Wales. So, again, it comes back to my point. A lot of teams are beating each other. I think everyone's trouble with Italy is we want them to get better. Like, God, they've been hopeless for 10 years and they win a game. This is, well, as long as it's not against us, that's great, The Italians have improved. They basically, in my view of that, they've got 16, 17 players now that are there fighting. And if your opposition doesn't have a good day, the Italians have bridged a significant amount of the gap between where they were and where the other Six Nations teams were. They've proved that with their performances and their results. Can they get 2 wins? Well, it's going to be tough, Stu. I think any win's going to be tough for them. Yeah. But it's not impossible. And that's a great thing because, it was only maybe 2 seasons ago, or even the beginning of last season, we're saying, well, look, it's 50 points every time against Italy. People aren't thinking that anymore. That's healthy for the championship, healthy for Italy. I just can't see them doing that to France. France, as I've said, and Alan and I keep saying, France is the best team in the world, in my opinion, at the moment. And I can't see a way that the Italians can overcome that. Could they rattle Wales and Scotland? Yes, they could. I think the other three are beyond them right now, but that doesn't mean they won't. I think the big thing as far as the championship goes on Sunday, remember we've got that, we're broadcasting that on Virgin Media, is the preview we'll see of what are France doing before they get to Ireland the next week. Because that to me is the big game of the championship for Ireland. They win that game, the world changes for them as far as the championship goes. Because Galtier, just to finish on this, Galtier said, we're not the defending champions, we're attacking 2023. Great mindset, great statement from a coach. Forget last year, we're not defending champions, that's over, that's in the history books. We're attacking 2023. So let's see what this French side can do. Remembering, everyone's talking about the French injuries. Galtier again deserves credit. When they toured Australia 2 years ago, he left all but one of the starting 15 at home. He went to Japan, left everyone of the starting, I think it was starting 18 at home. So he has developed depth. So as Quinny said, don't read the paper, France have got a lot of injuries. They have. But let me tell you, the quality they got in the cupboard goes very, very deep. Back to 45 players, I think. They have got so much depth. It's quite extraordinary. So Sunday's game against Italy will be another fascinating window for the week after when Ireland catch them.